Good morning. Good morning. So I actually gonna make this video about this international pro star with the Maxxforce 13 engine. So I wanna point out that I had a this is not the truck that actually had the issue. It was another truck. But I mean the truck just had to go, so I didn't really have a time to make that video. So this is another truck that came in for so we can do the head gasket and could be the head as well. So I want to show you guys on this one what I did to mine, to the one that I had the issue. So see that'll help you guys to diagnose it. So first thing, what the problem was well, the problem was that that truck would have run just fine, but as soon as you would have turned it off, let it sit for 10 minutes, it would have lose the prime on the high pressure fuel system. So if you would have turned it on, you would have had to either spray some ether or gasoline. I don't really use ether. All I use is gasoline. But by the ways, so you would have sprayed ether and it would have started just fine. It would have run just fine, no problem at all. So when that happened, of course, I hooked up my computer and I seen that it had low pressure. So what I did next, so what I did next was just do a visual inspection. So I noticed that this fuel filter was getting bubbles. So it was getting bubbles. So by that automatically tells me that it was sucking air through somewhere. So that's when you get a specific wear. So what I did, first of all, you gotta make sure to see if the problem is either on the truck or on the engine. So I grabbed this fitting. I usually carry it on my toolbox all the time, but they sell this at International. So what I did is bypass this filter. And what do I mean by bypass it? Well, when you bypass this, you basically bypassing the whole truck back there. So you're basically bypassing all the lines. You pick up tubes inside the fuel tanks and all that stuff. So when I bypass it, I hook up my fitting with a clear hose. I always try to use a clear hose to see if you can see the bubbles. So you disconnect this line. This line comes from this fuel water separator actually. Connect this with a long hose and I connect it to a bucket, and this is your return. So you want to put this back in your bucket so the diesel that it's going through the engine runs back to the bucket, and you don't run out of fuel that fast. So obviously when I did that, the problem was still the same. You would have turned off the truck and the problem was not solved. So when that happened, I already knew that the problem wasn't on the tanks or the fuel lines, or the problem wasn't there. So I can already point that the problem was either on the fuel filter that goes inside there, to the fuel pump, anything on there. So what did I do next? Next, because I didn't see no leaks on there, I didn't see nothing. So what I did, I pull out all injectors and change all the O-rings and the copper washers, because when you're getting bubbles on there, it's a really common issue that the copper washer, it's getting combustion through the diesel, so that will make the bubbles in the fuel system, and that will make your high pressure pump to get some air and not pressuring up right. That's a really common issue. I've seen it on the comments on X15s and all them engines. I've seen that already. So I pull out all the injectors, change out the O-rings, change out the copper washers, and you can tell if your problem is one of the injectors, because usually the injector is like, it's got like flames around. I mean, it always get filled up like with carbon. So when I pull out all the injectors, they were clean, and I already knew that wasn't the issue. But I mean, when you pull out injectors, you gotta change the O-rings, because they get swollen. So I changed out all the O-rings, copper washers. Like I said, I already knew that wasn't the issue. I put everything back together, and I tried it. I mean, I did try it again, but I mean, the problem was the same. So I already knew that that the problem was on the fuel pump to the fuel module, filter module right there. So I was like, could be one of the hoses, which I didn't think so, because if you pressure it up, you should be getting leak. You should, I mean, it should be getting, it should be leaking fuel at least or something. So I already knew that the problem was over here. So what did I do next? And that's what the problem was. Well, what I did next, I changed out the fuel pressure relief valves, which are those. This is one of them, and actually they're really easy to change. Just get a 19mm socket, just twist the line to the side, and I was able to change it. So I changed this, and it's got another one right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's got another one right there. They're not the same. This one is actually longer than the one in the back. To be honest, I don't know which one it was. I'm 90% positive that it was this one, the one that failed. But that wasn't the issue. That was the issue actually. So I put those. So I changed those two, and it worked just fine. No problems. You would have shut it off, turn it on back in again. It would have turned on. Another thing that needs to be checked, if you don't getting no pressure at all, because I was getting pressure. But if you're not getting any pressure, you crack one of these lines, you crank it, and there's no pressure at all, and you already pumped this. Another thing to check is this. This goes inside a fuel filter. That's where this is where your fuel filter goes around here. So as you can see, this one, it's broke. So if that is broke inside there, you're never gonna get no pressure on the high pressure rail. You can crank this thing forever, spray 3-4 cans of ether, and you're never gonna get no pressure. And another thing that I want to point out, that whenever you change this out, whenever you change the filter, and there is another filter inside this primer pump. So if you never hear about that one, or you have never changed it, you should, because there is a small filter. I'm gonna show it to you guys over here. This is the primer pump. So it's a filter over here inside there. So if you haven't heard about that, I mean, just change it out. I mean, because I'm 100% positive that it's gonna be full of water and nasty stuff on there. But I mean, that's what it took me to fix that truck. So hopefully this can help you guys out, and try to leave my email on there, just in case that someone got any question, and I try to give you guys a hand. Thank you, appreciate it, guys.